This is part 154 of ASP .NET tutorial. In this video, we'll discuss using styles with menu control. This is continuation to part 153, so please watch part 153 before proceeding. To configure styles for the statically displayed portion of the menu, we can use these styles. This is the menu control that we worked with in the previous session. Notice that at the moment, for the statically displayed portion of the menu, we don't have any background color. Let's say we want to apply red background color. To achieve that, we can use StaticMenuStyle. Let's see how to use it. So this is the master page that we worked with in the previous session. And here we have the menu control. Let's use StaticMenuStyle and specify background color to red. Let's flip this to the design mode. Notice that we have a red background color. Let's actually reload this page. Look at that, we get red background color. But look at the dynamically displayed portion of the menu. Do we have red background color there? No, we don't. That's because the styles that we apply using StaticMenuStyle are only applicable for the statically displayed portion of the menu. Now, here at the moment we only have one level statically displayed, but we can control how many levels are statically displayed using static display levels property of the menu control that we discussed in the previous session. Now let's actually apply static display levels property and set that to 2. So basically we have 2 levels within the menu control and we are displaying all the levels statically. So if that is the case, will this static display style be applied for all the levels? Absolutely, because these levels are now statically displayed, so the style that we have set using StaticMenuStyle will be applicable for the entire statically displayed portion of the menu. And notice that we have another level, but this one is dynamically displayed portion, so that style is not applied for this one. Let's actually flip this back to 1 so that we can discuss in a bit how to apply styles for dynamically displayed portion of the menu. Alright, now if you notice, here we are using inline styles. Using inline styles is not a very good practice. We should always be referencing styles from an external style sheet. So the first step here is to actually add a style sheet, and let's call it styles.css. And let's specify a style class. Let's call this menu style, and let's set background color to red. Alright, now let's flip to our master page. We need to reference this style sheet within our master page. So let's drag and drop this style sheet within the head section. So there we have a link tag auto generated for us. And now instead of this inline style, let's set CSS class to the class that we have in the style sheet. Let's save it. Let's flip this to the design mode and see if we get that style. Look at that, we still get that style. Let's actually reload this page and verify it. Okay, so look at that, for the statically displayed portion of the menu, we still have that red background color. Alright. So static menu item style. Now this style is applicable for the individual menu items in the statically displayed portion of the menu. Now let's say, for example, for each menu item that we have here in this statically displayed portion, we want to have a white border, a white solid 1 pixel border. To achieve that, we can use static menu item style property. So let's flip this to the source mode and use static menu style, static menu item style. And let's say, for example, we want to set border color to white, and we want the border width to be 1 pixel and border style to be solid. Let's save it. Let's reload this one. And notice that we get that border. Now, is there a way to control styles for the entire menu control, that is statically displayed portion as well as the dynamically displayed portion? Absolutely. If that's the case, all you need to do is apply the style at the menu control level itself. For example, let's say we want the font color, within the entire menu control to be white. If that's the case, I can set for color property at the menu control level. Let's set it to white. Let's reload this. And look at that. Statically displayed portion, the font color is white even for the dynamically displayed portion. Alright. Now, we will discuss static selected style in just a bit. Let's discuss static hover style. So this style is applicable for the statically displayed menu item over which we hovered the mouse. So, for example, let's say when we hover the mouse over the menu item, we want that menu item to be bolded. If that is the case, we can use this style, static hover style. So let's use that style. And let's set font bold to true. Now you may be wondering, why are we using inline styles? We know that it's not a good practice. That is to speed things up, but I have just shown you how to use a style sheet. So instead of specifying the styles here, we can simply specify them within the style sheet, and all we need to do here is set the CSS class. Alright, now let's run this and see if the hover style works as expected. Look at that. As we hover the mouse over, the menu item gets bolded. Now let's discuss static selected style. Basically, this style is applicable for the selected menu item. Again, it's applicable only for the statically displayed portion of the menu, because look at the name, it says static selected style. So let's actually say, for example, when we select an item, a menu item, we want the background color of the selected menu item to be black. So let's use static selected style, and let's simply set back color to black. Alright, let's reload this and see if it actually works. Let's click on home. Look at that. That's what is selected. We are on the home page, but did the background color change to black? No, it didn't. Let's click on employee. Look at that. It didn't change as well. Why is that? That's basically because, look at this, if we actually remove the navigate URL. So look at the menu item here, home. Let's get rid of this navigate URL attribute. Let's save it. Let's reload this page once again. And now let me select this. Look at that. It's working now. But when I click on employee, we are on employee.aspx, but that is not selected. When I click on home, look at that, we are still on employee.aspx, but the background color for the menu, for the selected menu item worked. That's basically because when you are on the same page, the menu control is able to remember the state. But once we redirect the user to another page, somehow we have to tell it which item within the menu is selected, because it's not remembering that state. Okay, so let's see how to achieve that. So let's put this navigate URL back. So let's set navigate URL to the home page. Alright. Now within the code behind file of the master page, in the page load event, let's use a for each loop. Now what we are going to do here is we are going to loop through each item that we have in the menu control, and then if the navigate URL property of the menu item matches with the name of the page in the URL, then we know for sure that's the link the user has clicked on, and we want that menu item to be selected. So that's what we are going to do. So basically we are going to loop through each menu item within the menu control. So for each menu item, so basically a menu is a collection of menu items, and let's call this item in the ID of the menu control is menu1 dot items is going to return us the menu item object. So if the menu item dot navigate URL property, if that equals, so how are we going to get the page name? To get that, we are going to make use of request object. Request dot, we have this property app relative current execution file path, which is going to return us the name of the page. So if the navigate URL matches with the name of the page, then we know we want to set the selected property of that item to true. It's as simple as that. So let's actually run this. So we are on the home page now. When the menu control loads up, home should be selected. Look at that, it works as expected. Now let's click on employee and look at that, it works. Now let's actually change this employee.aspx from capital E to small e and see if that works. Look at that, it didn't work. Okay, so it's case sensitive, but we don't want that to be case sensitive. If that is the case, this equals method has got another argument that we can pass. So string comparison, we want to ignore case. So invariant culture, ignore case. Alright, with this change, let's once again run this and see if it works as expected. Alright, now we are on the home page. Let's change from capital H to small h. Look at that, it works as expected. We go to employee page. Let's change from capital E to small e. It still works. Okay, so if we redirect from here, if I type small h home.aspx, so we are typing the URL directly and hit enter. Look at that, home is automatically selected. Alright, so far these styles are only applicable for the statically displayed portion of the menu. Now to configure the styles for the dynamically displayed portion of the menu, we can use their dynamic counterparts here. Look at this, just like how we have static menu style, we have dynamic menu style. So similarly, if we want a red background color, let's go to the master page and we can use dynamic menu style. So dynamic menu style, let's set back color to red. And similarly, dynamic menu item style, and we want even for the dynamic menu to have a a white border of 1 pixel. And similarly, dynamic hover style, we want the font to be bolded. And finally, dynamic selected style to be background color. Alright, so let's run this and see if everything works as expected. Okay, look at that, the dynamically displayed portion has also got the same styles. And look at this, when we select the item from the dynamically displayed portion, we are in edit resume.aspx, and look at that, edit resume, is that selected? No, it's not. So why is that? That's basically because look at the menu items, how they are. So if you look at this menu, at the top level, how many menu items we have? We have only 4 menu items. And then employee has got 3 menu items. Okay, so basically, though these are menu item objects, these are actually child items. Now, if you actually run this code and put a breakpoint here, and then if you check the items property, items.count property, it only returns 4 items back. So, which is only the top level items. Now here we have selected an item, the child item. So basically what we need to do is loop through the child items as well and then compare their navigate URL property with the URL here, the page name, and if they match, we want that to be selected. So basically, to achieve that, we are going to write a recursive function in the code behind file of the master page. Now, we discussed recursive functions in C# interview questions video series. So if you're new to recursive functions, please watch that video. Basically, a recursive function is a function that calls itself. So here, let's write a private method, and let's call it maybe check. And then let's pass to this method a menu item object. And all this method is going to do is, if the item, basically I'm going to use the same condition here. So let's copy that condition and pass it right here. So if the item navigate URL equals, basically the page name in the URL, then we want that item to be selected. So item.selected equals true. Now if that's not the case, and if the item has got child items, and if the child items count is greater than 0, then we know there are some child items present, in which case we want to loop through each item and then check if the navigate URL property of that item matches with the name of the page in the URL. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to loop through again each child item that is present in the item object. So for each menu item, and let's call this menu item in item.child items. So if the count returns greater than 0, we know for sure there are going to be child items. If that's the case, use a for each loop and loop through all the child items, and then recursively call this function. So when it calls again, what's going to happen? It's going to check for the child items. Okay, is the navigate URL property equal to the name of the page in the URL? If that's the case, set selected property to true. It's as simple as that. So let's call this check function. So this function is calling itself here. So this is a recursive function. Alright, so let's run this and see if it works as expected. So we have employee here, edit resume. So we are on edit resume. Look at that. For some reason, edit resume is not selected. Let's see why. Let's click edit job. We are on edit job, employer, edit job is not selected. Let's say, why is that? Okay, so basically that's because we have written this function here, but we are not using it in the page load event. We are still using the same old code. So what we need to do here is get rid of this if block and call this check function. So check and pass the item. Okay, so let's run this once more and check if it works. So employee, let's go to upload resume. So we are on upload resume, and look at that, upload resume is selected. Let's select view resume. We are on view resume, and view resume is selected. Alright. So we can also configure styles for each level in the menu control using level menu item styles or level selected style. Okay, so here basically within our menu control we have two levels. So you can use menu item style. So the first item here is going to set the style for the first level, and the second item here is going to set the style for the second level. So let me explain what I mean. Let's actually go to this master page. Let's get rid of these static and dynamic styles, and instead of that, let's use menu item style. So basically we're using level menu item style. So level menu item styles, and let's use menu item style. Let's say for example we want to set back color here to maybe yellow. So that is for the first level. Look at that, the background color is there, yellow. Now that will be only for the first level, okay? But look at the dynamically displayed portion, it still doesn't have any background color. I mean that's the second level. So if you want to set this style for the second level, then use another menu item style. So maybe let's set this to red, and let's reload this once again. So for the second level now we should have red color. Look at that. And look at the third level, it doesn't have any style. If you want to set it for the third level, then you will use another menu item style. Maybe let's set this to green. Look at that. Okay. In a similar fashion, you can also set level selected style. Instead of using static selected style and dynamic selected style, we can use level selected styles and set the selected styles for different levels within your menu control. Alright, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.